Hi, I'm feeling a really strong nudge to do a different kind of video today, so I'm going to roll with that. And this is part of a broader, more all-encompassing stage of life that I'm in right now, and it includes starting to do these videos where I'm feeling a strong urge to be surrendered and receptive to any nudge that I get to lead me in a particular direction. So using more of a feminine approach to moving my way forward as opposed to a masculine energetic approach. And I'm not talking about gender, I'm talking about energetics, with the knowing that we all have masculine and feminine energy in our body. And the masculine energy is often more planful, it's more structured. And that's always sort of been the way that I've gone about my goals. It's sort of like create a plan, like maybe make some lists, check your lists, and go out and tackle or grab what you need each step of the way, and you eventually conquer your goal, right? It's more of a masculine, energetic way of approaching what you're looking for. And lately, what I've been receiving a strong message to do is to practice the more feminine, energetic way of manifesting what I'm looking for. And what that's felt like is very much a sense of not knowing. It's like not always really even necessarily having enough of a plan to know what step two is going to be. I know what step one is, and so I step on that step in full faith and trust, and I allow myself to wobble on it and be awkward and uncomfortable and take a risk of falling, of making a fool of myself, of all the things. And then the next step appears, and I take another step forward in faith and trust. And so it is this very different way of um, pursuing a path forward, one that is more led by my soul, my heart, my intuition, and it's really powerful as a practice. Um, so to be honest, when I started doing these videos, part of me knew kind of what I'd like to get out of it, and another big part of me was just sort of like, let's just see. Let's see where this takes us. And it's good for you all around. It's good to step into your power. It's good to exercise your voice. It's good to work on not caring as much about external validation. All of these things are so good, right? And so just surrendering to that being enough of a reason to start these videos to begin with is a really big step for me. And now that I'm on this step, it is sort of looking for the next step forward. And one of the next steps that has been calling to me is to incorporate some tarot. So I'm going to do that in today's video. So I don't have a huge plan for what to talk about in this video. Instead, I'm going to surrender and let the message emerge in the moment. And if it's really awkward and ridiculous, I just won't post it. I mean, I probably should, but we'll see. Let me just start off light and simple. I'm going to pull one card, and I'm going to look at what's at the bottom of the deck and go from there. Okay? So, oh, I already got one here. So we have the Six of Swords and then the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so the Six of Swords is all about, let me see if I can get it to focus. Can you see that? It's all about being led away from where you were. It's sort of like this in the image you can see she's on this boat, and she is departing from the shores that she was previously on, and she's being led by these birds. Like, she's not doing it alone. She has guidance. She has support, but she's traveling light. She's got one suitcase. And she's wrapped in this red shawl, and the red is standing out to me, which tells me she's following her heart. The birds are tethered to the ship, and so it really says a lot to me about spiritual protection. She doesn't look like she's feeling all that brave. I don't know if you can see her facial expression, but she's doing it anyway, and she is likely to be just fine despite the choppy waters, because she is very protected. And I think that that is a message for anyone watching this video. If you resonate with this, with what I'm saying, then this is for you. If you don't, then leave this reading behind, and maybe the next one will resonate more. So never try to force a reading to fit in your life. Either you'll know that it fits because it confirms what you already are sensing, or you'll know that it doesn't fit. And at the bottom of the deck is the Five of Pentacles. So with the Five of Pentacles, it's this sense of feeling left out, a sense of feeling locked out. So there's a door here and a keyhole, and she's feeling like she can't gain access to what's behind that door. But there's a giant key here that it's like she doesn't even recognize that she has access to, because she's so lost in her own internal dialogue about the fact that she feels like she can't get through that door. So it's really speaking to how our limitations are often in our own mind, and that we often have at our disposal exactly what we need to get ourselves free. So putting these two together, what I'm sensing is that after a season of feeling locked out or not belonging or feeling trapped, there is now this knowing that one can move forward. And it's like she's freed herself from this place of entrapment, of self-imposed entrapment, and she is now moving on to calmer shores. But it's like at the in-between, right? She's not on the shores yet. So it's scary. There's a lot of unknowns here, despite the fact that there is all of this protection. It's still very scary. So maybe there are a lot of us that are feeling like we're in an in-between phase. We have sort of like one foot in a previous chapter of our lives and another foot in a new chapter. Maybe that's feeling really scary. Maybe there are some of us who are moving away from a chapter where we were feeling like we couldn't have access to what we desired, and now we're challenging those notions. I mean, the card that's under that, so at the bottom of the deck, I mentioned the card that was there, but then the one that's under that card is the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is a really fitting energy because it's more of a sense of feeling like caught up in our negative thoughts, caught up in our swirling, whatever this dialogue was about, sort of like the birds always represent here, like in my mind, confusion and chaos in the mind, and her eyes are blindfolded. She can't even see, which is why she can't see this key. So these two go really well together. Underneath that is the Tower. I'm just going to keep going. The Tower is it's an earth-shattering wake-up call. It's a realization moment. It's when the structures in our minds or in our lives get torn down because they were not built on solid foundation, and they need to be replaced with something new. And it's like she's headed out in pursuit of that new. She has left the towered environment that she was in, left the stuck energy here. She's removed her blindfold, and she's on her way. She's on her way to wherever it is that she's going, but she's not there yet. She's not there yet, but she will get there. It's very interesting because this morning when I meditated, I jotted down some notes, and I put them here just in case they ended up being relevant, because I'm experimenting a little bit with how much will my readings, when I do them on video like this, correspond to what I had been journaling about in the morning or after meditation. And so one of the things that I wrote down was, what your experience right now is purposeful. And that really seems to go very well with the cards that we were just talking about, because, she's obviously feeling pretty alone and overwhelmed. And, in those moments, in tower moments, especially when our foundation feels like it's crumbling underneath us, whether that foundation be a relationship or an inner way of approaching the world that is crumbling, or it can be anything that's being dismantled and alchemized through a tower moment. When that happens, it can feel a lot like, why is this happening to me? Why can't it be easier? All of the questioning of why do these sorts of things happen. And so when I wrote what you're experiencing is purposeful this morning, what I was thinking about is some of the hardships and difficult experiences I've been through in my life, including some really isolating, lonely periods. That's specifically what I was writing about here. And I wrote, what you're experiencing is purposeful. And what I meant by that is that it's through these experiences that we have a chance to alchemize and transmute. And when we do that, we bring our vibration in closer alignment with our true vibrational core, our center, our soul signature. And then that evolves too. So we're constantly sort of realigning and getting in tune with who we're becoming. But without tower moments and without really difficult, challenging periods in our lives, that would be nearly impossible, because it's the tower moments that push us out of our comfort zone and force us to turn our gaze directly toward the things that we don't want to look at in our lives, and then to honestly assess what needs to change about those things. So that's what I meant by them being purposeful. And for me, I was also journaling about how there's a spiritual component to this, as there is in anything in my mind. So this was me asking, journaling a little bit about, like, why have there been periods where I've needed to be so alone, like that woman sort of stuck behind that door, right? And in response to myself, I wrote, it drew me closer to God by forcing me inward and getting me into isolation. And then I wrote, I knew if you weren't alone, you'd pour all your love and energy into those around you, or whatever it is that you were filling your life with. So it's sort of like spirit, God will sort of like come through and sometimes every once in a while just sort of sweep everything clean off of our plate. It'll be a process that feels like loss. But in doing that, we have nothing to sort of grasp onto. There have been moments where it's literally just felt like me, with me. And in these moments, I mean, for long stretches of time, I'm not talking about for a day, I'm talking about for years, where, initially there's like a protest inwardly and anger and all the things. But eventually there became like a curiosity, like, what else can I do here? And the answer was to draw closer to the source of security and safety that was available to me, if only I would look in that direction. And so I started meditating more and really leaning in to my spiritual practice, into my spiritual life. And I wrote, I called you closer, meaning God telling me that in these moments, God was calling me closer, drawing me in, and it helped me develop the desire to seek divine love, because the only other option would have been to die inside. And then I wrote, you chose to live. And so in these cards that we were just talking about, I put them away, but here we go. Yeah. When she gets on this boat, she's like, I'm not staying. I'm not going to stay sitting behind that door anymore. I'm not going to stay in this place of self-torture anymore, of the whys. Why did that happen? Why am I alone? Why is this so hard? Why is this season so challenging? I'm going to stop sort of swirling in that space and seek out whatever it is that is possible, really, because that's the decision to live. That's the decision that we make to live, to continue evolving and moving. And that in that process, we discover something more amazing than we could ever have known. More amazing than we can ever have known, right? Like, there's so much more to discover on the other side of a tower. In the tarot, the next card after the tower card is the star. It's the star. So the star card is all about making your wish, a wish fulfillment. And the reason why it's the card that comes after the tower is it's because, like, imagine that your home was just hit with a tornado and you have nothing. Your tower has fallen. And you realize that in that moment, you have no other option but to surrender to reality, to what's just happened. And in the moment that you realize everything is gone, you realize that you also have a lot of space to make a wish for what comes next, to turn your eyes to the sky and to say, and to dare to dream what it is that is possible. And energetically, there's all kinds of room that's now been made to pull that in, because what wasn't stable has fallen. So that debris is moved aside, and it's not always debris. Let's be honest. Like, I don't want to minimize what we're talking about when it comes to these moments, but using the metaphor, we now have a new foundation that we can make more solid, and that we can build something brand new from. And that is, we are able to build in a way that is much more in alignment with our heart center. So yeah, I think that's it in terms of this video. I hope it was helpful. Until the next one. Bye.